Dear students, welcome to the third and last session of the module Energy Efficiency and Environmental Certification in Construction. In this session, I will introduce a very interesting topic, the environmental certification of buildings and civil constructions. In the previous two sessions, energy context and energy efficiency were main topics of discussion due to their intrinsic importance and also due to their relations to the construction. However, in this sector, even before of the energy concern, agents and institutions related to the building and civil construction have been paying more and more attention to the environmental protection. In any case, energy and environmental concern can be seen as the two sides of the same coin in terms of the European Union targets. What is an environmental certification? It is a voluntary instrument by which a company fulfills the environmental targets defined by a particular certification system. And which are the benefits for having an environmental certification? First one is competitiveness. For example, an environmental certification can give your company the access to markets in which fulfilling certain environmental standards is compulsory, or also can give you access to countries or companies with higher environmental awareness. Cost saving through the smart and efficient use and management of energy, materials and wastes. Environmental protection thanks to the fulfillment of environmental targets defined by the certification system chosen. And finally, client fidelity due to the rising amount of customers with higher environmental awareness. In the last few years, many new certification systems at national and regional scale have been released to the market, especially within the building sector, but also within the civil construction sector. However, all the systems with international aspirations have been able to access the most difficult markets. For example, the BRIN system that was released to the market in the UK in 1990 by the British Building Research Establishment, and the LEED system released to the market in the US in 1990 by the US Green Building Council. Other systems appeared in following years, like the German DGNB, the French HQE, the Australian Green Star, the Chinese 3 stars, the Spanish Verde, or the Finnish Promise, among others. But is there any certification system for projects and civil construction? Actually, yes, there is. It is called Secuencia, and it was released to the market by the Institution of Civil Engineers of the United Kingdom in 2004. We can now revise 3 emblematic or illustrative certification systems. Roughly speaking, the environmental certification systems can be defined by the different certification schemes depending on the project to be certified, the categories through which the building or project will be assessed, and finally the scores that will end up in the final level of certification. Let's start with BRIM. The schemes for the systems are the new construction, the international new construction building, the in-use or existing buildings, refurbishment and communities. The categories are the health and comfort, management, energy and water, transport, materials and wastes, use of land and ecology, and finally pollution. While the scores and levels are pass, good, very good and outstanding when the score is higher than 85%. As an example, in this slide you can see the cooperative group headquarters in Manchester, United Kingdom. Each environmentally friendly construction was certified with the maximum BRIN level, outstanding. Regarding LEED, the schemes are building design and construction, interior design and construction, homes, building operations and maintenance, neighborhood development. Categories are location and transport, materials and resources, energy and water, sustainable sites, indoor quality, innovation, and finally regional priority. While scores and levels are certified silver, gold and platinum when the score is higher than 80 points. Note that many of the schemes and some categories of the LEED are similar to those in BREEAM and also to many existing certification systems. The example in this case is the major renovation carried out on the Sidwell Friends Middle School in Washington, D.C. in 2007. The efficient use of water, energy and materials allowed the renovations to be certified with the highest level, LEED Platinum. For the last certification system, I have chosen the Secuencia, which allows the certification of civil construction project in UK and Ireland, international civil construction project, and finally term contracts. Categories, scores and levels are shown in the slide. As example, see in a picture the beautiful Peace Bridge in Derry, Northern Ireland, whose construction was certified with the maximum level. And finally, let me introduce two very interesting instruments for the environmental protection. The eco-labels are a group of voluntary tools aimed to stimulate the demand of services and products with lower environmental loads. There exist three kinds of eco-labels: the certified eco-labels, the self-declarations, and the environmental declaration of products. Finally, the green public procurement is an instrument by which European public authorities contribute to the sustainable consumption by purchasing environmentally friendly products, services and works. Since the information given in these videos is limited, and in order to get a higher knowledge of eco-labels and green public procurement, I encourage you to revise the information enclosed in the course, and also to revise some specific books and rigorous websites. Thank you very much.